What's up, guys? Just here back to my channel tonight. We're doing a video from Monday Night Raw, and this will be a very late video again. So we have a little segment with Seth Rollins and stuff. So ringside, Seth Rollins' music blares through the arena, and Rollins makes his way out with Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Paul Heyman. Breaker is in his wrestling attire, and the rest are dressed in civilian clothes. Breaker's match with Penta is probably next after Rollins cuts a promo. Rollins welcomes us to Monday Night Rollins. Rollins says Columbus is giving him mixed signals, so he has what do you want? He says, one man, there are CM Punk chants, then OTC chants, barking for Breaker or singing his song, and the crowd erupts singing Rollins' song. He says the crowd has no idea what they want, so he doesn't care. He says this is why he's a visionary, so he can tell everyone what's good for them. Rollins says even the things we think we want. It's all thanks to him. He says Roman Reigns exists because of him. CM Punk is back in the WWE because the WWE wanted to cash in or on how much Rollins hates CM Punk. He brings up Cody Rhodes and says he puts Rhodes on the map. He talks about how he was the first champion for some belts and how he on how he created the legacy of these titles. He says he's the past, present, and of the company, and his fashion is the future of WWE. He talks about how LA Knight put opposition in front of him, and that's why Reed took him apart with tsunamis. He then talks. He then talks about Breaker's upcoming match against Penta, who is also a thorn in their side. Rollins says lots of the guys think they can cut it on top, and all these men need to realize they're running for second place. Penta's music halts Rollins' promo, and we halt Rollins' promo, and we roll into our first match. Alright, so first match, Braun Breaker with Paul Heyman versus Penta. We come back from a commercial break, and the bell rings. And well, not really bell, because it started when the commercial finished. So, and both men circle for a ring for a few minutes. So Breaker leaves the ring, and Paul Heyman gives him some orders and gets back in the ring, and the match begins. Breaker punches Penta in the corner, and Penta is able to get Breaker down with head scissors. Breaker is taken down with a springboard crossbody, and then Penta connects with his handstand double kick. Breaker rolls out of the ring again, and Penta gets caught trying to dive out to Breaker, and Breaker slams down Penta. Breaker kicks Penta and then suplexes Penta. Penta starts with punches and chops on Breaker, and Breaker drops Penta with a kick and then hits a bad Breaker on Penta and covers him for a 2 count. Breaker rams his shoulder into Penta in the corner. Breaker hits a running clothesline on Penta, grinding him. Breaker stomps on Penta against the ropes. Breaker sits Penta on the top turnbuckles, and Penta is knocked down from the top with a punch from Breaker. Breaker climbs the ropes, and Penta starts with chops on Breaker and then hits a hurricanrana on Breaker, sending him to the mat off the middle rope. Penta kicks Breaker and then sends Breaker over the top rope. Penta launches him over himself over the ropes and is caught, but Penta counters and sends Breaker into the ring post. Penta gets back in the ring and throws himself over the ropes onto Breaker and commercial break. We're back from commercial. Penta is being slammed into the announce desk, and then Breaker gets on the apron and jumps off the apron onto the announce desk, crashing into Penta. Breaker sends Penta back in the ring, then stomps on Penta. Penta kicks Breaker, and Breaker catches Penta and slams him down on his knees, and then Penta covers Penta for a near fall. Sorry, I didn't see the cover, but near fall. Breaker gets Penta in a headlock in the middle of the ring, and Penta tries to fight out of the hold. Penta punches Breaker and then kicks Breaker in the face. Penta hits a sling blade on Breaker and chops Breaker in the corner. Penta suplexes Breaker and covers him for a 2 count. Penta goes for the Mexican Destroyer, but Breaker catches him and then hits a top rope Frankenstein on Penta and covers him for a near fall. Breaker goes for a spear, and Penta kicks him in the face. Instead, Penta DDTs Breaker and then hits the Mexican Destroyer on Breaker and covers him for a near fall. Penta goes for the Penta driver, and Breaker counters. Penta kicks Breaker. He goes for a springboard splash, but Breaker catches him mid-air with a spear and gets the win. So winner is Braun Breaker. After the match, Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed come out to celebrate with breaker. Rollins gets to Penta's face and tells Penta to stay out of his way, and this is Penta's final warning. Ryan Pierce with Nichols tells AJ Styles about the match and stuff got postponed, so he has to wait for next week and stuff, blah blah. Anyways, yeah, and then after that, they showed the Judgment Day, all that stuff. So yeah. Anyways, Michael interviews Goldberg and stuff, and it was crazy. Goldberg towards the end he says he's gonna beat the fuck out of Goldberg. So yeah. Anyways, okay, never mind. After that was the show Judgment Day with Roxanne Perez, Rocky Rodriguez and stuff, and something popped up. I'm sorry guys, something popped up weird when I was reading it. So anyways, yeah, about seeing about Liv Morgan being injured and all that stuff. So and Mysterio wish Perez good luck before a match and stuff. It's later tonight. Alright, Bailey stretches and stuff. Live Gregory comes in to wish her luck about the match and stuff. And Becky Lynch was seen backstage, up and back in the background and stuff, and then walks back on that shit. So, anyways, second match coming up is Queen of the Ring semifinals match: Jade Cargill versus Roxanne Perez. Perez avoids Cargill and keeps leaving the ring before the bout can start. Perez slaps Cargill and runs out of the ring. Back in the ring, Perez gets Cargill in a headlock. Cargill throws Perez off of her and then pummels her in the corner. Cargill lifts up Perez and chokes her and then throws Perez into the corner. Perez slaps Cargill again and then runs out the ring. Cargill slams down Perez, and then Cargill slaps Perez. Perez guillotines Cargill, and Cargill hits a backbreaker on Perez. Cargill throws Perez across the ring, and then starts doing push-ups while Perez is laid out. Cargill chases Perez around the ring and gets Perez on her shoulders and walks her up the steel steps. Perez slides off and slams down Cargill on the steps and hits a dropkick, making a commercial break. Back to Raw, Cargill kicks Perez, and Perez starts slamming into Cargill against the turnbuckles. Perez tackled Cargill down, taking out her leg, and then hits a running uppercut on Cargill. Perez hits a springboard moonsault and covers for a near fall. Cargill goes to slam Perez, but Perez counters into a sleeper hold. Cargill breaks the hold. Perez goes for a crossbody on Cargill, who catches Perez and hits a fallaway slam. Cargill takes down Perez with punches and has a spine buster on Perez. Cargill licks Perez's face and chokeslams Perez and covers her for a near fall. Cargill hits a super kick on Perez and sets her up for jaded. Perez rolls through and rolls up Cargill for a 2 count. Perez takes down Cargill and kicks her in the back of the neck and covers her for a 2 count. Perez kicks Cargill and goes for pop rocks, but Cargill counters and kicks Perez, and then hits a powerbomb on Perez. Cargill hits Jaded and gets the win. So winner is Jade Cargill. As Cargill celebrates by the Queen of the Ring crown, Asuka comes out and stands face to face with Jade Cargill. And then after that, we see Gunther walking backstage and stuff. Alright, Sheamus talks to Akira Tozawa and Max Pre and Natalia, and then Rusev comes up and then talks about, what's coming up and all that stuff. But anyways, Gunther is up next with this segment. It's a short one. Gunther makes his way out to the ring, gets in the ring, and he says last week would have been a celebration for him winning the World Championship, but instead Bill Goldberg tells him that he's next. Gunther says he thought about what it means to be next. He says Goldberg was destructive in his prime, but it isn't 1999 anymore, and now Gunther is the best, and him giving and having the title proves it. He says Goldberg can't even lace up his boots, and pokes fun at Goldberg's age. Gunther apologizes to Goldberg's wife and kid for what he's going to do to Billy Boy. He says he will make sure he kills Goldberg's legacy and squashes this myth about Goldberg being dominant. Alright, Becky Lynch is getting ready and stuff, and about everything's happening at the same time. So Karrion Kross comes out, and then everybody's getting ready for the match, some match and stuff. So yeah. Anyways, we have a third match coming out. WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Becky Lynch, who is a champion, versus Bayley. The women lock up and grapple for power. Bayley gets Lynch against the turnbuckle. Lynch slaps Bayley, and Bayley punches away at Lynch. Lynch is clothesline, and Bayley hits her with an elbow to spine. Lynch goes for the disarmer, and Bayley counters and gets Lynch on the apron. Lynch gets stunned on the ropes and falls outside the ring. Bayley goes out after her and hits an elbow off the steel steps onto Lynch. Lynch is slammed into the barricades and then sent back into the ring. Bailey punches down Lynch and climbs the ropes. Lynch gets to the turnbuckles too and slams down Bailey's arm on the ropes and commercial break. Back to the match. Both women are down on the mat. Bailey clotheslines Lynch a couple of times and hits a belly-to-back suplex, followed by a running knee. Bailey hits a spinning sidewalk slam and covers Lynch for a near fall. The women counter moves and Lynch hits an angle slam. Bailey hits a belly suplex and covers Lynch, who kicks out. Bailey throws Lynch into the corner and then sunset flips Lynch in the corner and covers her for a 2 count. Bailey climbs the ring post and Lynch punches her and climbs up to Lynch punches Bailey as they're both on the top rope. Lynch hits a suplex and then gets Bailey in an arm bar. Bailey counters and rolls up Lynch for a 2 count. Bailey hits a half crab on Lynch, and Lynch makes it to the ropes, breaking the hold. Bailey smokes Lynch and with a punch, and Lynch boots Bailey. They exchange punches in the middle of the ring, and Bailey hits a manhandle slam on Lynch, and Lynch rolls out of the ring after taking the move to avoid a pin. Outside the ring, Lynch throws Bailey all over the announce desk. Lynch stacks chairs on Bailey, burying her in hopes of a count out. Lynch gets back in the ring, and the ref starts counting. Laura Valkyria runs out and comes out to Bailey's aid. Lynch attacks Valkyria and tries to get her to punch her. Bailey tries to get in the ring, but Lynch clocks her and then hits a baseball slide on Valkyria. Bailey throws Lynch over the announce desk and slams Lynch's head against the ring post. Outside the ring, Bailey sends Lynch into another ring post and throws Lynch in the ring. Bailey climbs the ropes and Valkyria runs in and starts beating on Lynch for calling for a DQ. Winner by disqualification is still wins Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch. Valkyria and Bailey argue in the ring after the match. Commercial break. Chad Gable tugging Ivy now. Tells him favorites doing all that stuff. About saying Valkyria guards, all that stuff. All that. And as Luke Kaiser watches and all that stuff. Alright, I have a little short segment coming up. Raquel Rodriguez is in the ring and calls out Rhea Ripley. She tells Ripley she won't get screwed over by Ripley and tells her to come in the ring and take the beating she deserves. Rhea Ripley comes out and runs into the ring. Ripley punches Rodriguez and Rodriguez takes down Ripley. Ripley kicks Rodriguez out of the ring and Rodriguez spears Ripley into the apron and sends her over the barricades into the Timescapers area. Rodriguez pulls a table out from under the ring and slides it into the ring. Ripley jumps off the announce desk and knocks down Rodriguez. She then slams Rodriguez into the steel steps. Ripley gets in the ring and sets up the table in the ring. Ripley goes to hit Riptide on Rodriguez, but Roxanne Perez runs in and jumps onto Ripley's back. Rodriguez is able to catch Ripley and hits a Tijuana bomb and Ripley through the table. Rodriguez helps Perez up and hugs her as they watch Ripley laid out with her table under her. Alright, Cody Rhodes walks backstage. Outcome match. Pierce is backstage. Rhea Ripley talks about she has a match. Pierce is just a street fight match and stuff. Alright, so fourth match, King of the Ring semifinals match, Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso. The bell rings and the men shake hands and lock up. Uso gets Rhodes in a headlock and takes down Rhodes with a spear. With spear, Uso tries covering Rhodes a couple times and Rhodes kicks out. They lock up again and this time Rhodes gets Uso in the armbar. The men chain arm drags and then gets back to their feet and face off again. Rhodes locks Uso in a side headlock and Uso powers out, but Rhodes goes for crossroads, but Uso counters and goes for a super kick, but Rhodes dodges it and we cut commercial break. Back to our main event. Uso goes for a running hip attack, but Rhodes moves. Rhodes slaps Uso in a figure 4 leg lock, and Uso tries to break the hold. Uso gets to the Rhodes, and the hold is broken. Uso kicks Rhodes and then clocks him with a super kick, and then an uppercut. Rhodes punches Uso, and Uso hits a small drop on Rhodes and covers for a 2 count. I don't know why I say her. Uso hits a running hip attack on Rhodes and goes for the Uso splash, but Rhodes gets his knees out. Rhodes gets Uso in a Kimura lock in the middle of the ring. Uso gets on his feet and breaks a hold and puts Rhodes in a sleeper hold. Uso climbs Rhodes' back while still having the hold locked. Rhodes walks to the ropes and dumps Uso over the ropes, and the hold is broken. Rhodes goes for a suicide dive onto Uso, but Uso sees this and strikes him in the face before Rhodes could fly out. Uso climbs the ropes and Rhodes punches him, and both men are now on the top turnbuckle, punching each other. Rhodes is knocked down, but runs back up and hits a superplex on Uso. We cut a commercial break. Back to Raw. Both Uso and Rhodes are laid out. They both get to their knees and start chain punches. Rhodes gets a few punches in a row, and Uso comes back with punches. The men both lock each other's taunting punches, and Rhodes takes down Uso with a shoulder check. Uso hits a snapping power slam on Rhodes, and then sets up Rhodes for a cross Rhodes, but Rhodes counters out of it. Rhodes hits a Cody cutter on Uso and covers for a near fall. Rhodes goes for a disaster kick, but Uso sidesteps and spears Rhodes. Uso covers Rhodes, and Rhodes kicks out at 2. Uso tries for another spear, but Rhodes kicks him. Rhodes climbs the ropes and flies off, hitting a super Cody cutter and covers Uso for a near fall. Rhodes shoot. Damn, I lost myself. Cody Rhodes covers for near fall. Rhodes goes for crossroads, and Uso counters and connects with the crossroads of his own on Rhodes. Uso covers Rhodes, and Rhodes kicks out. Uso super kicks Rhodes and kicks him again, and then hits Rhodes with a spear. Uso climbs the ropes and goes for a spear for the Uso splash. Rhodes runs up the ropes and hits a top rope cutter on Uso. Rhodes hits crossroads and gets the win. So winner is Cody Rhodes. So after the match, Rhodes and Uso chat back and forth before shaking hands and embracing. Uso celebrates with Rhodes and get the credits room and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, that was a good show tonight. I enjoyed it, but man, that was so hard. That the last match, the main event with Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso, with the who's going to be in the semifinals. I mean, for the who's gonna face Randy Orton and stuff for the finals. So, but I was like, man, like I wish it was Jey Uso, but Cody Rhodes was good too. But man, that was like hard. But now it's gonna be very hard because now we have Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. That's gonna be crazy and stuff. So yeah, I can't wait for that to see what happens this coming Saturday and stuff this afternoon. So yeah, so next Monday, where I'm at, the Monday Night Raw will start at 5 o'clock. Like getting close to the evening and stuff. So yeah. So where I'm at. So at the same time, that night after Raw's over, they'll start taping Friday Night SmackDown for this coming for 4th of July because all the wrestlers will be off that night, but they'll be taping SmackDown that night on Monday until it gets aired on Friday night, which will be taped, which should not be live. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, I had to make sure if it wasn't live. So, but yeah, it's taped on Monday night. So right after Raw is over and stuff. So yeah. So anyways, again, 5 o'clock Monday Night Raw would be showing and stuff. So anyways, that was this first video. Hope you like it and not whatever else. So like, subscribe, hit the button, leave a comment. And guys, want to leave a comment stuff. I don't care, guys. And that was it. And I'll see you guys Wednesday night for AEW Dynamite. Alright, laters.